Hi, Mike DePung here again from Spirit Hill, Spirit Healing into Love and Light. And I made the point yesterday when I put the video up that darkness is just as important as light. And some of the stuff that in the story I'm going to read today has to do with alcoholism, things that can be really dark. But once again, I want to make this perfectly, absolutely clear that all the experiences, the life that my mom and dad gave me, I value deeply. They would be things, there are things, consequences from what they did that created darkness, helped to create shadows for me because of my ego responses to things. But they are things that I value now. They are things that have enriched my life, and from that lower world of darkness is a rich fertility and fecundity that has increased the value of everything I experience here. So I'm not going to say a lot more than that, except to introduce this second story. I know that a few people enjoyed the first one, so here I go. By the way, I should mention I'm outside. Yesterday I was inside. The lighting was horrible. I don't know how much better it will be today, but I'm also outside in a short sleeve shirt. Yesterday I would have had to be outside in a winter coat, so that's St. Louis weather for you. Here's the story. It's called Shrimp Cocktail in Christmas Eve Chaos. To laugh or not to laugh. I'm quite sure that a few of Julie Andrews' favorite things at Christmas time do not include some of the memories I have, like melted plastic holiday tablecloths and the crunch of shrimp shells. When I recounted the memory of polishing my harness boots on Christmas Eve, I mentioned two neighbor ladies who were coming over, sisters, both as old as my parents. Joyce and Edna lived with their mother, Grandma Kay we called her, across the sidewalk in the apartment building facing ours. Neither of them had ever married, and all three treated my sister and I as family. We had known them very soon after we moved in, about 10 years at this point, and they came over for a little while every Christmas Eve. Their visit actually had spurred the spreading of the decorative plastic tablecloth I had unceremoniously but accidentally melted a little earlier, the one that I recounted yesterday. By the time the sisters arrived, my mom and dad had made a full recovery from the debacle of the Christmas tablecloth. That was a minor setback because I'm pretty sure those cloths came like 3 for $1. They were the only types I ever saw on our table the 3 or 4 times a year we actually ate there. My parents had their own way of recovering from the numerous knuckleballs life seemed to throw at them. They drank. I didn't like it, but I accepted it. Knowing they loved me and they were never mean to me made it easier to accept. This meant, though, that friends, people like the neighbor sisters that night, drank a fair amount too. With my mom and dad in good spirits, literally, I had cleaned up and made my appearance with my highly polished boots in all their splendor. I wasn't flaunting them, though, because I didn't relish any ridicule. Dad could be really witty, sarcastic, and droll, so I actually was relatively humble. I didn't want to be ridiculed in front of the sisters. After my parents greeted our guests, Dad was off and running with his wit and stories, keeping Mom and the ladies amused. There were some jokes about the bowl of mixed nuts, a special Christmas treat we always had, and guffaws about cracking nuts and picking the meat out. The ladies were already too toasted to even crack the nuts, so I was asked to do the shelling and putting the picked meats on a clean paper plate. We got thicker decorative plates with holly boughs printed on the rims at Christmas time. My sister thought it was funny, but we were both biding our time till we could leave. I would be leaving for my girlfriend's house and going to midnight mass with her family. In the meantime, I sat cracking nuts with the nutcracker tool. At least I had something to do. I don't know what the hell my sister was doing. The adults kept drinking. Mom put out some cheese spread and crackers, and then the big culinary offering of the night, the boiled shrimp my mom had made along with the cocktail sauce for them. Oh, what a deadly odor that produces in 2 rooms, the sort of stench that is so strong it deadens the olfactory nerves after a while. The total length of the living room and kitchen with a tiny dinette was less than 30 feet. At least no one could smell the liquefied shoe polish anymore. Mom set the shrimp out on the paper plates and put some extra ones out for each of them to have their own depository for the shell and tails. Now the party was rolling, and my sister and I knew we wouldn't be missed before long. Hell, if we didn't leave, we knew we would be the focus of the old folks. And in addition to the nose pollution, a noise pollution always attended such times in the tiny apartment. That night, as always, the television was on. Jimmy Stewart was, well, what do you know about thating, all over It's a Wonderful Life. In addition to those two supersensory stimulators, breathing became questionable as the 5 adults smoked, filling the living room and kitchen into what may have been an EPA-classified toxic cloud when it mixed with the boiled shrimp steam bath. At this point, I was surviving, but I noticed a small pile of nut and shrimp detritus building on the floor in front of one of the ladies. I'm not even sure which one it was anymore. I noticed my sister was looking at it, and she saw me. Our eyes met, and we burst out laughing, trying to control it. It was just one of those things. The more we tried, the more we laughed. But between angels gaining their wings and my dad's stories and Christmas music coming from somewhere, we weren't noticed at first. We saw the most inebriated sister gesticulating with almost comical chewing, smacking, and shifting of her jaws and mouth. Actually, it grossed both my sister and I out, but my mom asked her what was wrong. Through slurred words, she kept chewing. However, since she was trying to speak at the same time, the crunching became very audible. Oh, Jenny, these shrimps are delicious. At this point, she picked up the plate and spit stuff onto it. So glad we were using the thicker paper plate so it didn't fall on the pile on the floor. But they are really crunchy. Being subtle and trying to remain unnoticed no longer mattered. My sister and I laughed until we were crying, and I think she wet her pants a little, which she often did when she laughed hard. My mom said, "What? What's so funny?" My sister, through her tears of laughter, choked out, She's eating the shells and tails." We took a breath and laughed even harder, then slowly throttled it back when we paused to wipe away tears, feeling a little guilty because the lady didn't even know what she was doing. I don't think she even knew we were laughing. We did stop eventually and tried to help clean up a little before we left. The ladies were friends and we really didn't intend to make fun of her, but sometimes situations just present themselves, especially to teenage minds. Of course, Mom intervened and told her she had to peel the shrimp and not eat the tails. In the midst of that sensory chaos and underlying sorrow at the alcoholism, my sister and I still could laugh, still could take what was there and know some fun and peace. This is one memory that still makes us laugh, and I would encourage anyone, whatever challenging situations they may face, to find a feeling of settled calmness in chaotic circumstances, to connect with that stillness within. Sometimes people just need to find a way to laugh, though. Friends who are healthy for them, and an inner peace born of love for self and others. Our heart always offers us light and love, which is extra special when we can share that with another, as my sister and I did. We could laugh. It's a good time of the year to appreciate one another, whether we laugh or eat shrimp shells. Even a memory like this can become one of our favorite things when processed with our heart. That's the story for today. I will have the last one of the 3 that I have themed around Christmas tomorrow. And until then, love and peace.